All right, ready for a deep dive into a career path that's anything but ordinary.
Sounds intriguing.
We're talking about a global adventure, one fueled by things pretty much everyone loves: coffee, tea, cocoa, spices, the good stuff.
Ah, the heart of so many cultures. What's fascinating to me is how this career, being a wholesale merchant in this world, it's this blend of like sensory experience with serious business strategy.
So you need a good head for numbers, but also like a refined palate.
Exactly. You need that deep understanding of global markets, all the trends, but also imagine needing to tell the subtle differences between, say, an Ethiopian Yirgacheffe coffee bean versus one from Sumatra, a man hailing. It's head and, well, taste buds working together.
Like a sommelier, but for the entire world of caffeinated and spiced delights. And the info you sent over from RoleCatcher, they really paint a vivid picture of this.
They do, don't they?
And they don't sugarcoat it. This sounds intense. They describe someone who can go from analyzing like crop yields over in Vietnam 1 minute to negotiating a big contract with some Italian distributor the next, and all while keeping up with constantly changing import regulations.
Absolutely, and that's where the maverick part really comes in.
Yeah.
RoleCatcher emphasizes how much you need to adapt in this role constantly.
Makes sense. These markets are always changing.
Think about it. Just the coffee market alone, it's notorious for volatility. 1 minute you're riding high because of a bumper crop from Brazil, and the next you're trying to figure out how to navigate a supply chain issue because of, I don't know, unexpected weather in Colombia.
And that's just coffee.
Exactly. We haven't even touched the world of, like, rare spices or how complex the tea trade can be.
Okay, my heart rate's already up just thinking about it. So, for someone who actually thrives on this fast-paced environment, loves a challenge, and let's be honest, enjoys all these products, what does their day-to-day even look like? What did RoleCatcher highlight in terms of the core stuff you'd be doing?
Forget the typical 9 to 5, that's for sure. A wholesale merchant, especially in this niche, you wear so many hats. You're a market analyst 1 minute, then a negotiator, then coordinating logistics, even a bit of a cultural ambassador, all rolled into one.
Cultural ambassador. No, that's interesting. Tell me more about that.
Okay, imagine this. You're trying to source, say, really premium cocoa beans from Ghana. You're not just haggling over prices, you're building real relationships with the farmers and suppliers there. You're understanding their traditions, how they do things, and you become this bridge between their world and the global market.
So it's about cultural sensitivity, building trust across continents.
Exactly, and those relationships, they're key, especially in an industry where trust and quality are everything. Think about it. You have a distributor over in, I don't know, France, and they want to import a unique blend of spices from India. They need to know their wholesale merchant gets them, gets the market, and can deliver consistently.
Like a high-stakes treasure hunt. But the treasure is a shipping container full of amazing Darjeeling. So you've got the passion, you're driven. What are the tangible steps, according to RoleCatcher, that someone can take to actually break into this field?
Well, RoleCatcher doesn't beat around the bush, let's put it that way.
Oh, they get right to it.
This isn't a career for someone who wants things easy.
How's that coasting?
Not a chance. It's highly competitive, there's a lot to learn, and you got to be okay with things changing all the time. Uncertainty is part of the deal.
So you need to be on your toes.
RoleCatcher really stresses that always learning, always keeping up. It's everything in this world. Global trade, especially with these specific products, it just never sits still. New regulations pop up out of nowhere. What's trendy changes constantly. You got to adapt or get left behind.
Makes sense. It's not just knowing like the difference between different types of coffee beans anymore.
Right.
It's about understanding how, like climate change, or if a country suddenly has political problems, even if there's, I don't know, a huge surge in people wanting matcha.
All of that.
It can totally throw things off.
It all impacts the supply chain. So you need to be thinking strategically, analyzing market trends, almost anticipating the challenges before they happen, and knowing how to shift gears fast.
So where do you even begin to build that kind of like foundation of knowledge? Do you need some fancy degree in international trade or something to even get looked at?
Well, a relevant degree definitely doesn't hurt.
Sure.
But RoleCatcher really hammered home how much practical experience matters. They suggest, like, internships, those entry-level positions, at actual wholesale companies, ones that specialize in coffee, tea, cocoa, those types of things.
So getting your hands dirty,
Oh, yeah.
literally.
Exactly. Those early experiences are what really teach you the ins and outs of how this business works.
What did RoleCatcher say those early experiences might look like?
Well, you could be helping out with trade negotiations, learning the whole order fulfillment process, or even just navigating the world of logistics, anything that gives you a taste of the day-to-day.
Proving you can handle it.
Proving you can handle the grind, both ways. And then, of course, there's networking.
Oh, I bet that's huge in this world. Knowing the right people.
Hugely. RoleCatcher really emphasizes going to industry events, trade shows, exhibitions, that sort of thing. It's where you meet everyone, seasoned pros, potential mentors, even future clients.
It's all about who you know.
It's about building those relationships, getting a feel for the market. Sometimes you even stumble onto opportunities you'd never have found otherwise.
Hidden gems.
Exactly. So you've got the networking, the hands-on experience. But let's say you land an interview. You're trying to be the wholesale merchant they hire. What does RoleCatcher say to really make you stand out?
Yeah, what's their secret sauce?
Okay, this is where their guide got really interesting. They give you an insider's look at the whole interview process. They even provide examples of questions you might actually get asked.
Wait, they give you like a sneak peek at the interviewer's playbook?
Pretty much. So instead of being blindsided, you can walk in totally prepared, ready to blow them away with how much you know and your enthusiasm.
Open more.
Like imagine they ask, tell me about your experience with international trade.
Huh.
And you're not just like fumbling for something to say. You've got actual examples from your internship where you help source vanilla beans from Madagascar, ready to go.
Of it.
Or if they're curious about how you assess risk in a market that's always fluctuating, you can talk about how weather patterns in, say, West Africa might affect that year's cocoa crop. You're showing you get the big picture.
It's connecting all those dots, yeah, showing you're not just there for a paycheck, you're genuinely into this world.
That passion is contagious, you know? You demonstrate you're a fast learner, you adapt, and you're eager to soak it all up.
Eager beaver.
RoleCatcher even suggested building a portfolio, even if it's small-scale stuff. Maybe you helped a local coffee shop find a really unique type of bean to sell, or you helped a friend navigate importing some fancy tea. It's proof you take initiative.
Like you're already thinking like a wholesale merchant before they even hire you.
Exactly. And speaking of that mindset, one of the most insightful parts of RoleCatcher's guide was about career progression. They don't just leave you hanging once you've got the job. They actually paint a picture of what your future could be in this field.
Okay, lay it on me. So you're navigating the world of wholesale. What are the pathways to grow?
Well, they outline different career stages, and get this, they even created these hypothetical profiles for each one. It's like getting a glimpse into the lives of successful wholesale merchants. You might start as an assistant buyer, then specialize in something like, oh, I don't know, being a green coffee buyer, and eventually work your way up to a senior trader, or even manage a whole category.
So you could climb that ladder or even branch out and start your own company someday.
Exactly. You make your own path. And RoleCatcher even touched on something that's becoming more and more important in all of this technology.
Oh, that's right. It's not all just handshakes and paper contracts anymore. What they have to say about how tech is changing the game. It's not like this world is stuck in the past, right?
No way. And RoleCatcher was very clear about this. Tech skills are more and more important for wholesale merchants. Like, they were talking about these software platforms for everything. Sourcing, logistics, you name it, even analyzing markets and figuring out risk.
So you could be, like, tracking where your tea shipment from India is in real time.
Exactly. Or even using data to try and predict what's going to happen with the cocoa market.
Fancy. So it's not enough to just know your coffee. You need to be a bit of a techie, too.
You got it. And it's not just about using the tech, it's understanding how it's changing the whole industry. RoleCatcher said employers, they're looking for people who can adapt to whatever new software is out there, but also people who can bring their own ideas about using tech to do things better, get ahead of the competition.
So you're bridging that gap between, like, the digital world and the actual enjoyment of these products.
Exactly.
But we've talked a lot about analysis, the market, tech skills. At the end of the day, isn't this industry all about people?
100%. RoleCatcher made that very clear. You need strong people skills. Cultural sensitivity, building relationships that last. That's essential here. Because you're not just making a deal, you're building trust with your suppliers and your buyers.
The diplomat of deliciousness, connecting cultures, working around any language barrier, all through, like, Good taste?
That's a great way to put it. A good wholesale merchant, they get to building a network of trust is everything. That handshake with a coffee farmer in Ethiopia, that might be just as important as some fancy contract. It's about transparency, communication, and knowing it's a long game.
And I bet those relationships are what get you through the tough times. Because, like
Hmm.
we were saying, things change fast. What happens when there's, I don't know, a bad frost in Brazil and the coffee crop's messed up?
Hmm.
Or some political thing throws off the spice trade?
That's when those strong relationships matter most. When those inevitable challenges pop up, that's what helps you weather the storm. Otherwise, you're going to take a hit.
We've covered so much ground here. This deep dive has been fascinating. For our listener who's been with us the whole way, what would you say is the most important thing to remember?
If you're excited by the idea of connecting people through business, dealing with a global market, and all while you get to be passionate about amazing coffee, tea, all that good stuff,
Yeah.
then this career path could be perfect for you. It's challenging, no doubt, but it's always changing and can be incredibly rewarding.
RoleCatcher gave us a ton of great info, practical tips. It's like a roadmap.
It is.
Now it's up to our listener to decide if they're ready to take that first step.
Here's something else to think about. RoleCatcher focused on coffee, tea, all that. But there are so many niche markets out there just waiting for someone to explore them. Maybe your passion is something totally different. Rare flowers, handcrafted goods, even vintage records. You
Yeah.
never know.
What hidden gem are you going to find? There's a whole world of possibilities out there.